All right, we're back. Julian and I are here for round 6. And Julian, you know what? We've got a player playing elves this round. Did people still do that? I thought that went out of style. I thought
Yeah,
all the I thought all the good players realized that elves weren't any good and they switched to goblins.
that's usually what you do, right? In Legacy, you,
Yeah.
you switch to goblins and then you try to dominate the format. It's still under the radar. Like everybody who's not in the know right now, we still play elves. We can't help it.
Okay. All right. So this round we've got JJ Garlock playing Maverick versus Ivan Espinosa, Nerd Rage Championship winner last year, playing elves. So
Yeah,
if we have some deck lists, you have some comments on both of them. So
yeah,
let's
those are
start
my
with
two favorite decks in Legacy. This is
yeah.
like watching. This is like if I had like two babies and they were fighting it out and I had to pick a winner. It's like, no, I can't do this. I love both.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're trying to organize a children's conquest fighting ring, you could talk to Julian. He can set you up with his experience in the matter. But okay, JJ Garlock's Maverick deck. So you during the break, you commented on the presence of Aven Mind Sensor in the deck.
It's such a cool card. It's one of my favorite. Like it's I have such a big thing for Maverick and especially for even Mind Sensor because the card just does so many things. Like at the very basic level, it blocks Delver. But now the Doomsday is by far the most premier combo deck.
Mhm.
And also like DES, the Epic Storm is also out there. If you can get to turn 2 or sometimes turn 3, depending on whether you have acceleration, even Mind Center is insane. It's absolutely insane. And it beats in the air with Exalted. It's like a real threat. Dude, I love that card so much. And I told you in the break, people have been telling me this is not a legacy card anymore, Julian. Like, dude, they got no idea. Even Mind Center is the soul, the quintessential experience of legacy.
Okay, we'll see if that plays out this round. You can see the rest of the Maverick deck here. We heard earlier today about a Maverick deck that beat, I don't know if it's this player or not, that beat Ouphe all spells. And you can see kind of how that would happen. I mean, there are some cards, there's Endurance, there's Thalia, there's Collector Ouphe. So there are some ways to interact with combo, but really this is more of a creature interactive, board control-ish, just getting your way deck and then with multiple routes to victory, mostly based on neither reliquary. Then we got the elves list. We'll put that up real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is pretty much what people call reclaimer. It's much less pronounced on the combo aspect. You can still
Mhm.
like combo off with glimpse, but the most common way to victory is to either get Cradle, Natural Order, and get there, or really just grind them out with random beats, and then you're gonna grow all your creatures with Allosaurus Shepherd. So the Maverick just gonna try to do its thing, especially in the first game. If you have Chitta, which I think we don't even have in this build anymore. Yeah, there's no Stoneforge, no Chitta. In that case, we'll have to heavily rely on Aven Mind Sensor. Because can you imagine how big of a blowout Aven Mind Sensor is when the opponent activates their Elvish Reclaimer? Whew.
Reclaimer, nice. Natural order, nice. Yeah, in several different scenarios, I could see that being pretty useful. So we'll see how this gets going. Now, this is the elves, like you were saying, not like the pure combo anymore. And I just can't wrap my head around elves not playing Nettle Sentinel. But apparently, that's what the kids do these days.
Yeah, it's not only not Nether Sentinel. To me, the much even bigger thing is no Aquarian Ranger, which also like changes a lot of things because your mana is a lot less stable now. It helps that elves basically universally, no matter which version you play, has adopted Once Upon a Time, which helps out so much. Not only does it fix your mana, it also makes your mid game better by finding either your card advantage engines or
Mhm.
your combo potential in Allosaurus Shepherd or your Elvish Reclaimer, which, by the way, at 3/4 for 1 mana is super annoying for basically most of the decks in format. Like, almost nothing on the ground actually blocks it. I guess Endurance, but that's not a card that you really see against Elves anyway.
Right. So, for how long were you begging for Quirion Rangers creature type to be
Uh,
updated, and then once it happens, you abandon it?
At 7 years. 7 years, I tried to get it a job. It always was just an F, and yeah, it's I'm so sorry, Hurricane Ranger. I mean, it's still playable, right? The quote unquote normal version with Current Ranger and Nelson, it still sees like top 8s and challenges and
Yeah,
everything.
but look how many elf players are looking to you for advice, and you're like, Quirion Ranger got its job, it got its role, and then fired immediately.
But it's not so much me anymore, but more Newton Hang who has done
Okay.
a lot of work on that. But yeah, I guess still a lot of people also look to me for that. But I think Newton is the one who really pioneered that kind of switch to
Mhm.
just like let go, rely on the mid game, and I guess, quote unquote, trust the process or whatever they would call that. But
Alright.
yeah, you don't have to be that super blowout Glimpse of Nature deck anymore.
Mhm.
You still get decent card advantage out of that, but it's not the primary thing that you do anymore. Like today, we really just like get a bunch of creatures into play, make them big and attack.
Mhm.
And there's other ways to do that.
Yeah.
Most importantly, Allosaurus Shepherd, and even just Reclaimer all by itself.
Yeah. Okay. So we see Dryad Arbor be picked off here by Swords of Plowshares. JJ Garlock wants to be the only player accelerating this game. And here's another Dryad Arbor just played as a land drop, which is a quite bit less exciting.
Yeah, this is probably one of the weakest starts I've ever seen out of Elves ever. Like, not saying that this hand is a mulligan, like this hand is very much a keep from everything I've seen. It's just like the way the cards lined up. This is yeah, I mean, if you follow it up with, say, Visionary and you have a Cradle and you draw more cards, the game can spin out of control very, very quickly. Like it's very
Mhm.
much going to be on Maverick to actually make something happen. Oh, interesting that we go after this, not after the mana. But yeah, one way for Maverick to get this game is to get a really big knight and then have protection with Mother of Runes and get in there twice or three times even.
Sure.
But overall, Maverick is not the kind of deck that will beat you down very quickly, and in the absence of Umezawa's Chitte or even something like, Garrock, it's actually really gonna be really hard for Maverick to close out the game before IFs gets out of control.
Oh, this is funny. So I was going to comment on the fact that I feel like in this matchup, Mother of Runes was a free attack there for 2 damage because what are you even defending against? But then, okay, here's Grist. So good thing Mother of Runes was untapped, I guess.
Yeah. But I think I would have probably attacked there as well.
Yeah, okay. All right. So Mother of Runes, more evasion here than obviously protection from spells, as Ivan's not going to be doing much to interact with JJ's creatures, aside from maybe a Grist sacrifice at some point in the game. And we saw the mill there actually picked off one of the natural order targets, so that's probably not ideal for Ivan to lose track
Yeah.
of that.
It's not that important, honestly.
Yeah.
It's I guess the trample is kind of nice, just because you can't like throw out a Script Ranger or a Birds of Paradise and then block it forever with Mother of Runes. But overall, usually when you go for the big haymaker in the end game, it's gonna be Craterhoof, and most of the time it's just gonna be lethal. I would even go as far as to say that you're quite happy not having to draw the card.
Okay. So Scavenging Ooze gets the benefit of 2 Noble Hierarchs and a Mother of Runes and gets through unopposed and takes down Grist. And Ivan, yeah, so this is certainly a slow development here, as another Once Upon a Time, this one actually obviously being cast with mana.
Yeah, you can take the Reclaimer. The problem with the Reclaimer is just gonna stay a 1/2 like for basically the entire time. So yeah, this is the only card that really makes sense here.
Mhm.
Funny enough, it's still your only elf. So if you ever get to like quote unquote ultimate the Allosaurus Shepherd, it's really just like 6 mana and turn it alone into a 5/5. But I hear there's a couple more elves in the entire deck. So
Yeah, I guess that might be the case. Okay, so Ivan will generate some more mana with the fetch line here and perhaps put that Shepherd into play. Meantime, JJ, 3 mana available. Obviously not your Aven Mind Sensor, as that would have worked just fine there, taking out that Windswept Heath activation, or at least limiting it.
yeah, and and Ivan dedicated to playing more non-elves. Like, yeah, the
Right.
deck is like elves. Like, we got like all our dryads and what is this? An insect? Actually, 2 insects. Insect is the most common creature type on this side of the board. Yeah, that's just like when it comes to playing elves, in this version as well, there's so much to be said about. You often have an insane amount of top decks. Like, look at this.
Mhm.
Natural Order would be insane. Visionary would be insane. Senate for Visionary would be insane. That's already something like 11 cards in the deck right now. And
Yeah.
on top of that, like Glimpse of Nature would be a really good draw. And even though right now there's really not much going on Ivan's side of the board, other than a couple of random creatures, there's just like so many things that in the next like 2 or 3 draws that he's easily still has, right? He's gonna get there. I'm not sure, is the life total 20 still correct? I'm not too sure about that.
It might be fetch lands offset by Swords of Plowshares.
Could be, yeah.
That could be right. There's a Questing Beast. So that will certainly drop it down a little bit, as that's going to swing in for 6. The
Yeah,
benefit
that's a
of
really
the
good card.
exalted triggers. Yeah. I mean, that's great, but that's like not a blazing. I mean, it's a good clock, but like you're saying, there's a lot of cards that elves could draw. Once upon a time, not being one of them, that can really turn the game around quickly. Although Visionary does help.
Yeah, that's basically the card you want to find here, because you have a creature taps for mana, and that's always the best case scenario when you do these visionary loops, because your Wirewood Symbiotes are actually gonna net you 1 mana when you untap.
All right, so there's a Cradle in hand. So Ivan has access to all the mana that he needs, and there are a couple elves in play now, and by that I mean 2.
Yeah, but just this is basically what I mean, right? When the deck gets out of control, you get all of these guys down. The downside of Allosaurus Shepherd, of course, is you don't get trample off of it. So there's like a world where Questing Beast, I think there's nothing that can block the Questing Beast right now.
Right.
Just gets there before Ivan has enough damage to really get through and kill JJ.
Yeah. Although once an Allosaurus Shepherd, if the Cradle's untapped, for example, Ivan can just pump and then block. So
Yeah. The problem is there's a Mother of Runes, so you still get
yeah,
through.
yeah. And JJ comes through again for another 6. So I believe the life totals are accurate. It's going to be tracking well. And another line for JJ. And I think a Zenith is the last card in hand.
So from JJ's side, I feel like what you want to be doing here is just do something that stalls the game in a way. What is... Oh, okay, I see. So he's scared of anything that could interrupt.
Right. Yeah. So Ivan picked up the Visionary in response, just in case JJ has something that shuts down the interaction.
I guess here you really just want to find... Yeah. This is the... Oh god, this is the card that made me fall in love with Maverick. This card does so much. This is the entire engine. This is the brains of the deck. Script Ranger. It does so much. You get to use your Mother of Runes twice, actually like 3 times over the course of a turn cycle. It's absolutely insane. And that's going to help you even more if you want to block these 5/5 non-tramplers, and that's the big deal. So
Right.
even if Ivan makes a lot of big creatures next turn, how much damage is going to come through on the Questing Beast next turn? 6? Yeah, that's 2 attacks.
So no, because the Scrib Ranger, like you were talking about double activating Mother of Runes, Questing Beast and Scavenging Ooze can both attack, and that actually would be 8.
That's lethal.
Yeah.
Oh man, Ivan, you definitely need... What do you need here? Like, I guess Natural Order does the job. Is there a Natural Order? Not yet. By the way, something that I do, if you play Elves on paper and you want some advice, you saw Ivan put the Visionary towards the other creatures. Usually the creatures I put in play that are summoning sick, I put into play below my lands. I mean, technically, that's like not how you're supposed to do it during feature matches and everything, but I think in order of like to make it clear which creatures are summoning sick or not,
Right.
that's something you can do in paper to keep track
Yeah.
of which creatures are summoning sick or not.
I'll make an executive decision for you right now. The coverage rules for putting your cards in different places are the reason they exist is to make things clearer. If you want to do something different that makes things even more obvious what's going on, we're all in favor of it.
Thank you, Joe.
So you go ahead and do that. But yeah, it's funny how some people have different metrics on where to put cards that are, for example, summoning sick. Or I remember a High Tide player years ago, Feline Longmore, who occasionally had trouble figuring out during a long turn whether she'd already played a land. So what she ended up doing was having like a spot in her row of lands like beneath the deck where that was where the land for the turn always went. So
Oh,
she just look at the board and immediately know whether she played a land already or not. So
smart.
here is the double activation. Here is the attack, and Ivan Espinosa is going to need to gain 1 life
Yeah, that's...
or die.
The only way you can stop this with elves is if you play a morph of the Birchlore Rangers, because it's colorless, so you still get to block. But
Right.
we didn't have that available here.
Okay, so JJ Garlock on the back of the Mother of Runes and Scrib Ranger double activation is going to take down game 1 from the Elves. Julian, you're doing a good job keeping composure yourself. I don't see any tears. That's impressive.
I mean, I love both. What can I say?
Elf Tribal is down a game here in the hands of Ivan Espinosa. Let's go ahead and bring the deck list back up again and give another minute to talk about, exactly how this is different from the more, I don't know what we call it. How did you refer to this version versus the other one?
This is usually called the Reclaimer Elves.
Reclaimer Elves, right. Okay, so this is the not quite as combo-y,
Yeah.
still pretty ferocious.
And I can't say this came back to bite the deck because we can't really say how it would have played out otherwise, but this is certainly one of the trade-offs you make, right? You usually, I would say the Reclaimer version is somewhat better against something like Delver. Especially against decks that run mass removal, which Delver often has in the form of like End of Festivities and everything. But the trade-off, part of the trade-off is since you're less explosive, since you're less combo-y, you can sometimes struggle a little bit more on matchups that you otherwise use to dominate. And you saw it here, right? We basically had all the elves things going on, except for, you know, a combo finish or something. We had the Allosaurus Shepherd, which are played in both versions. But when your most common way to finish is to basically just like get in there in the red zone without trample, then that's problematic against a deck like Maverick, which has been created to dominate the red zone, to be one of the best creature decks when it comes to creature combat. Overall, I think Elves is still favored, as post-board as well, just because the matchup overall is quite in its favor. The thing is, though, now that we play like this and we don't have the full comboed version available in Glimpse of Nature, we are gonna rely more on natural order and like cradles, or even like sequencing cradles to get set up for Craterhoof Behemoth. Even Mind Sensor could be a huge problem.
Right, it's more of an issue. Yeah, I was thinking that too. Once you started going through that. So another note is, I mean, Ivan, like there are obviously Natural Order would have been a great draw for him that game. For Behemoth, probably wins the game. Zenith, maybe the same with Cradle. Instead, Ivan drew drew 3 of the 4 Once Upon a Times, and that's not exactly the way you draw it up, I don't think.
Yeah, there's not too many. Like one thing that's the Once Upon a Times help is, you can hardcast Craterhoof Behemoth. So if you find Craterhoof Behemoth, even if they have Mind Sensor, you can just like slam it down and get there. And that's something I've done a lot with elves as well. That's also why I like to keep 2 Craterhoofs in the deck for these kinds of matchups. And we will see whether it's going to work out that way. I'm quite confident that Ivan would be aware of that, right? That you can just like go there and try to establish a board where you kill them with Craterhoof. The thing is, he probably doesn't know about the Mind Sensors yet, unless everybody in your area knows that his opponent is playing like Mind Sensors all over the place. But yeah, for as much as I love both decks, I want to see a Mind Sensor blowout. I want to see a really big Mind Sensor out. And on top of that, I want him to still find the card that he needs in the top 4.
Oh, okay. So not actually punished, just threatened. I see. We'll just scare him a little bit. Okay, well, we'll see what happens here. We can go back down the table. Players are shuffling up, getting ready for game 2 of round 6 here in the Nerd Rage Legacy 5K. I have an Espinosa, defending series champion.
Yeah, and I looked at the sideboards. There's really not much any of them actually wants to bring in.
Yeah, 2 Fatal Push. That looked like the only things you could think about.
Yeah.
I guess there's Progenitus. Maybe you want to bring that in.
Usually you do it over the Archon.
Sure. Oh, and there it is, right in hand. Just like you draw, just like you're hoping.
Overly attached Hydra avatar. Always wants to be with you. There's games where you hardcast it with Birchlore Rangers, but those are usually more in the combo version because you need a ton of Anvil Sentinel triggers to make all the necessary mana for that.
Sure. All right, JJ looks like satisfied with his hand. And Ivan will try and find a hand with maybe only a single Once Upon a Time and maybe no copies of Progenitus.
If the hand is overall keepable, ideally you don't want Progenitus in your hand, but it's not a deal breaker. Like if you go to, well, I guess it's 7, but you have to go to 6, then you can just like put it back into
the deck. Right. So now it's no problem as long as the other cards are good. I guess with the benefit of the new Mulligan rules, which I don't even think I should say new anymore. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's once again in hand.
So there you go. Perfect. Ivan doesn't have to think about that at all.
Sometimes you actually want to keep it in hand, but that's against show and tell decks.
Right. Okay, so Reclaimer to lead things off. Good place to be. And we saw JJ last game with a pair of Swords of Plowshares in the early going. Ivan down.
A really cool sequence would be to accelerate on JJ's first turn And then Ivan, like a very common play is to just play your second land, pass, and then on the opponent's end step, you get your Cradle.
Right.
And then if the Aven Mind Sensor comes down, boom.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That well, that's what you asked for.
Yeah, well, we might be seeing it happening. This far we are on course. Oh, but he's fetching straight away. Okay, I guess that means he wants to play something. On the other hand, it would make sense to fetch straight away, because otherwise, if Ivan untaps, if JJ untaps into a removal spell,
Yeah,
then you couldn't do it.
yeah, you're trying to. So what Julian's referring to there is the Swords of Plowshares in response to the fetch land would then leave Ivan unable to search at all. So good play by Ivan there, but does leave himself vulnerable to the play you've been asking for.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see.
All right, now I want to see it too.
Yeah, but it's gonna be hard. But if it happens, dude, I mean, Ivan still gets to look for any land. Okay, never mind. So we're doing something completely different. I'm not even sure what we're getting here. Are we getting like another noble hierarch?
There is a singleton. Let's see. There's a singleton reclaimer in JJ's deck for 1 mana.
Oh yeah, yeah, maybe that.
Yep,
Oh
that's
yeah, it
what it
makes sense
is.
because he also has blast zone, so he can really blow out elves with blast zone as well. That's
Yeah.
And he even has the Dark Depth combo, which is like another way to sometimes break elves' board dominance on the board.
Yeah, so a lot of options here. As well, in the future, nothing going on right now. And Ivan will find himself a Cradle.
Usually this is where elves explodes now. Like even in the non-combo version, if you have something like a Heritage Druid in hand, you can get basically your entire hand into play and then usually untap on the 4th turn to kill the opponent. I'm just like, inside I'm feeling like, I want to see the explosion. I want to see the explosion. Everything in play now. Use that Cradle. Use it. Oh yeah, another land. Oh dude, we can get even more stuff into play before we even have to use the Cradle, which means we can get even more stuff into play. Ah, this is why you love elves. This is why you love Cradle. I mean, I haven't even seen anything, but I know it's about to come. Wait, are we attacking?
Attack for 1. That's what you were excited about, right?
No. Okay, this could even be like a fetch for Dryad Arbor. Okay,
No. But
okay,
yes.
we got stuff to do.
So it's attack for 3 because now the Reclaimer is turbocharged. So yeah, that's how it works with the Elves decks these days. Julian wants to see an explosion. The Elf deck attacks for 3 damage with 1 creature.
Yeah, but there's probably something happening here. Since we
I would
fetched.
hope.
Yeah, I mean, we fetched, so that already, like, we took away the option of finding Dryad Arbor to make Cradle even better on the next turn, which tells me there's something that's worth it doing it this way.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's nothing? Like, straight up nothing?
I gotta say, I'm disappointed, Julian. I expected
very
more from you. I mean, this is
Why?
Ivan Espinosa not doing much on the board, but you're kind of in his stead right now in the booth, and that was well.
I'm just like trying to figure out what we could be representing here. Like, I guess Fatal Push, but I'm not usually. Yeah, I guess we don't really want to use that, but we also don't have Fatal Push in hand, as far as I can tell. There's like one very dark card, which I can't really tell what it is.
Okay, here's a glimpse of nature. That would be a reasonable explanation for holding back last turn. If Ivan was just sitting on that, hoping to draw stuff. Symbiote, that's 1 free card. How well can we do here?
Yeah, just more cards. Wait, is this just Dryad Arbor that we can find? But this is pretty disappointing. Okay, at least this one. I guess this is one way to disrupt Blast Zone, because Blast Zone is going to come into play tapped. So we could actually kill it before it untaps and wrecks our board.
Maybe.
If we are aware of that. Like if Ivan's aware of that.
All right, so there's still 2 mana floating down to 1.
Another Cradle if we want to. Bounce replay, another card. This is so unfair when you're sitting on the other side of the board. It's like, it just like picks up the card and puts it back and then gets to draw an extra card. Like, what's going on?
Okay, well, that was fine and everything, but this blast zone, well,
The
I
thing
mean,
is,
it's
we also
not
get the
just
kind of
going to kill
like,
Ivan's creatures. Yeah, it's going to kill everything JJ has too.
yeah, and
So,
then Ivan still gets to bounce the Reclaimer.
yeah.
I was thinking if Ivan puts more stuff into play, but even then he would be able to bounce out of that. So even though I teased the Blast Zone, now that I think about it, it's not that exciting, honestly.
No. No, it isn't. Maybe let's take another look at JJ's mana base here. Well, there's Wasteland. No, it's gonna be Blast Zone.
Yeah, I guess you could do Wasteland, but then again, the big problem from JJ's side is basically that he's not in the process of executing any kind of game plan. And
Right.
that's not really his fault. That's just like the way it works when you play against Elves of Maverick. And you're in a position like this where you don't even have something like Jitter available to maybe try and dominate the board at some point with flyers. Right now we are playing purely reactive, and our opponent has just drawn something like 4 cards while we are sitting here and destroying our own mana dude.
Yeah, to a pair of them even. Yeah, this is neither deck feels like it's working on, the desired efficiency level here this game, but Ivan did pretty well that turn. Okay, here's an attack.
Yeah, I think the idea is if you're gonna double block. Yeah, it doesn't. I guess
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter here. Right? You might
Oh,
as well attack and see whether Ivan doesn't block or something.
okay.
Okay, we fetch twice and blow
Yeah,
it up.
so there's I it's kind of hard to imagine that blowing a blast zone is the best that JJ can do here, but maybe.
I think, like, yeah, it's just like strategically, you you don't really have anything else that you could really do here. Like you can pass, and that's it. Like you could have found the wasteland right for the cradle, but considering how many cards
Yeah.
Ivan has drawn, it's not
Yeah. I
exactly
mean,
exciting.
this
And we
I
can
mean,
get to another cradle anyway.
activating blast zone shuts down Cradle also, I suppose.
Kinda, because
Yeah.
Ivan gets to replay a creature and then Cradle's turned on again. There's even oh yeah.
Yeah.
And your creatures die too. It's like, oh damn. Okay, and now we get the bird. Okay, sweet.
All
Uh,
right.
what I want to do here on the Elf side is I want to play a 1-mana creature, I want to play another land, and I want a natural order for Progenitus. And then be done with the game.
Well, that is a good chunk of the way there. 2 Reclaimers and a Dryad Arbor. All right.
Yeah, we just got these 3/4s, and this is really how this deck plays out a lot of times. It's just like I can't emphasize enough how important being a 3/4 is in Legacy. I mean, everybody who has played Legacy a decent amount knows this, right? But it's really annoying for the opponent. And I guess, yeah, this is one way to do it. You just like present a bigger creature. Like, how big is that knight right now? It's something like a 5/5, maybe 6.
Maybe. Yeah, with the blast zone going in there along with a couple fetch lands, it's probably 5 or 6. So either way, bigger than the Reclaimers, but
Yeah, at least we have a game plan now, though.
yeah.
Because the knight eventually is gonna get us to Marlage. We keep going back to this, and so that way we will be able to fly over all the elves and win the game that way, unless the natural order comes down. Oh dear. So that's 16 plus 4. That's 20.
That's borderline.
It's borderline lethal, you say?
I mean, it could be. There could be. I mean, we're speculating if there's 3 or 4 land in the graveyard. I don't know how big that knight is, and there is Progenitus, so obviously Craterhoof would not get it done.
Mhm, mhm.
But Progenitus, yeah, that's not an easy one to stop.
Don't remember, was the bird wasn't summoning sick anymore, right? So if
No,
you
the bird was played after the blast zone was blown up.
yeah. So yeah, I guess it makes sense because there's a chance that JJ could have had a Swords to Plowshares, and then your crowd overtake would have been a lot worse. And yeah, in that case, you played rather safe-ish with the Progenitors.
All right, JJ Garlock facing down a 10/10 cloud screeching worm type creature. I don't know what the creature type is, but it's 10/10
Hydra
protection.
Avatar.
Hydra Avatar. All right.
Hydra Avatar.
Yeah. Well,
Somebody
that sounds about right.
Yeah. I guess right now there's this thing where we're gonna get another knight. The problem with like extra knights though is
Yeah, that doesn't do enough. I don't
Yeah, and
believe.
they can also get chump blocked by the Elvish Reclaimers. I guess if you have Swords Plowshares, then you can also gain some life, maybe take you above 20 or something. But we are
Okay.
reaching here.
Yeah, this is another night. You're right about that, but I don't I mean,
Looking
setting
at Decklist right now, there's really not much we can do otherwise.
yeah, maybe not. Setting up Marilage is obviously just not in the cards at this point. It's too slow.
Oh, I found a way. I found a way to do it. You could get the guy that lets you play lands from the graveyard, and then you pump up your blast zone all the way to 10.
Okay. We'll file that one away on Julian's Dreamland list. I don't know that that's going to happen.
I'm not even sure if we play that. Remember Excavator. It's there. Well, maybe. Yeah, but right now, it's not impossible if you have like an insane amount of Swords to Plowshares, but it's really, really hard. And I'm not even sure how many cards. JJ has like, looks like one card in hand, maybe two.
What
At
would the
least
plan
clicking
be?
them.
To Swords of Plowshares our own creatures to gain life?
Exactly.
That's not going to help. We're still going to die the next turn.
But we depends on how big the knight is, right? The downside, the problem is
Yeah.
there's also like 9 power or even 10 power in Elves in play right now. So we got
Okay.
that.
Do we have some strange way to give Marilage haste? I don't think
Maybe
so.
maybe we saw the Plowshares Miracle Age.
All right, that sounds glorious.
That sounds so bad, right? Maybe we don't even have Swords to Plowshares in the first place, but we gotta have, because that's the only way we stay alive, you know.
Well, I eagerly await what JJ's got here, or else we're just going to game
Oh,
3.
it's over. I think he drew he drew Greens and Senate. And then he can go. I think he has a second Cradle as well, so he can Cradle Senate for Craterhoof. If that actually was okay, it looks like it wasn't a Senate. Oh, he had drawn one.
Okay, JJ, we're eager viewers. Show us the plan.
By the way, chat is asking whether there's any 8-rack in the tournament. I haven't seen one on the top tables.
No, I know there was 8 cast.
8 cast for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's 8 rack. All right, Thespian Stage is found.
I'm still wondering whether the knight is big enough.
This is going to be a shame. What? Okay. All right. Now I'm actually kind of coming on board. If the
Oh, okay, we're disrupting the combo. Okay, that's the
well,
kind of thought might have been Greens and
yeah.
Senate. Okay, in that case, if we have the Swords to Plowshares, maybe, you know, sorting
Okay,
out
so was the
knights.
plan? So the plan was to make Merit Liege and then Swords and Knight to survive and then attack back. But
Or find something at least
yeah,
to get to the
well,
next turn.
that conceivably could have worked.
Well, the problem is like there's still so many chump blockers, right? You're never gonna get past through unless you get yeah, like you mentioned, like if you swords the knight, if the knight is big enough. I mean, with 2 knights active, there's a very real chance that sorting the knight
Mhm.
is already enough life total, and then you can really just like get there with your Mirror Large in the air.
Right.
But by the
But
way, can I add how Boseiju was such a great addition to Fs? Like it's
yeah.
such an amazing addition to Fs.
So there was a Swords. Okay, so that was JJ's plan. It was going to try and maybe actually have been able to steal the game if not for Ivan's Boseiju, which blows up the Merit Liege Assembly. And now,
Interestingly enough, maybe, you know, there's I don't know whether Ivan was tapped out previously. I think he wasn't. I'm not sure. But there's a world where JJ could consider playing around the Boseiju and proactively making the Mirror Large.
hmm.
And now we're gonna go to game 3.
Yeah, I don't know if he was tapped out last turn or not, but yeah, that was certainly would have been an option. As it is, that game was actually pretty close, as Ivan did need that Boseiju, or JJ would have got that one. As it is, we're going to game 3. All right, well, let's see how it goes. Game 1, JJ had 2 Swords of Plowshares and was able to defeat Ivan. Game 2, Ivan survived a blast zone that blew out the board on both sides, and then on the back of a Boseiju was able to get it done. JJ on a mulligan here on the play in game 3. And
Yeah,
Ivan
rather
is
common for Maverick in the matchup. Maverick really just needs not only a functioning hand, but a hand that actually has enough interaction to stop Elves from exploding. And by exploding, I really mean that thing that we sometimes see, right, where you just like you chain your visionaries, and there's really very few things that Maverick can do about that. In the past, we had cards like Either Swan Canonist, which is amazing against Elves, absolutely amazing, but we don't have that here. So unless we touch their mana or we remove the acceleration, Elves will be able to pretty much do whatever it wants for a couple of turns, because JJ can't really do anything that Elves is scared of except for making a quick Barret Lash, and even then, that's like turn 4 or something.
Yeah, and that's harder on 5 cards than 7, obviously. Now, Ivan does have double glimpse and natural order in hand. So if JJ does keep a hand with the Swords of Plowshares, maybe Ivan can get stranded with not many creatures. In fact, the Archon might be in hand also. I'm not sure if I saw that correctly, but
I'm sure Archon is still in the deck. Didn't really see it there. Doesn't really look like the best kind of opening hand from Ivan. Especially like if you have two, basically like you got the haymakers and glimpse and natural order, and you have 3 of them in the opening hand, and the glimpses aren't as good in this deck as they are in other versions. It looks like a keepable hand, but it doesn't look like a hand that excites me, especially not on the draw.
Okay, so here we go. JJ on 5 with a turn 1 play, mana creature, Mother of Runes, something like that. And we'll see if he can get going. If it's a Reclaimer, he's only 1 Reclaimer in JJ's deck as opposed to the 4 in Ivan's list. Okay, Mother of Runes.
Mother of Runes.
Yeah.
Mother of Runes is part of the strategy at some point, like we mentioned, right? But in the early game, she doesn't really do all that much. She really just sits there and chills.
All right, Ivan with the basic forest and Dryad Arbor on the way.
And we gotta take care of the Dryad Arbor. Because we don't, next turn, we're not gonna do anything that's exciting. Like for 2 mana, Maverick is not really gonna do anything that Elves really cares about. Unless I missed something, I'm gonna look like a fool now. But that's just like the thing. Both decks don't really do anything exciting on 2 mana. So if JJ is able to take out that Dryad Arbor, Elves is not gonna do anything exciting next turn. Just like JJ is not gonna do anything exciting this turn.
All right, offers the trade, and Ivan says, you know what, I'll just take 1, and I'll back up Mother of Runes. Oof. 5-card hand into not the most impactful cards available. And Ivan rolls up his sleeves, tries to think things through. Okay, start with a glimpse of nature.
And this feels like the kind of glimpse that you play just because you don't really have anything going on, and you hope to, like rip Cradle here, or like, I was about to say like Query Ranger would be a sweet draw, but we don't have that available. And now we can at least draw 1 more card by bouncing, replaying. Yeah, sweet. Damn.
Yeah. Well, this glimpse draws 3 cards, and you know what? When you have another glimpse in natural order, just setting things up for the future, that's probably good enough.
Yeah, I think on this spot, JJ is probably gonna. Oh, we're not even bothering fetching the Dryad Arbor. Okay. This is where something needs to happen, and JJ fetching here basically tells me that we don't have even Mind Sensor available, and it's going to be pretty tough. On the other hand, you already mentioned the second glimpse now, right? We are probably going to see. It depends. Like we could see Ivan bouncing the Heritage Shoot just to make for a better glimpse next turn.
Well, there's 3 mana.
Okay, that's weird,
So
but
JJ
sure.
could have not fetched, just trying to avoid thinning the deck because needing to find a land. Here is 4 mana for Ivan. There is natural order. Is there a mind sensor? There is.
Must be.
Okay, Ivan,
Oh, that's so sweet.
you're looking at okay, Ivan. All right,
Cards. Here we go. Well, I guess we can attack for, I don't know, like 12 or something.
Well, that's pretty good, given that JJ basically has his interaction for the spell, and Ivan finds Craterhoof anyway, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, like, we could have attacked for 12,
Yeah.
-2 if we use the mothers, so it's not that exciting.
Mhm.
So Ivan's gonna be like, you know what? I'm just gonna draw a bunch more cards over the next couple of turns. While I guess JJ is gonna get in there for 2 a turn.
Yeah, I mean, not overly exciting. Maybe 3.
I
Yes.
definitely like Ivan in that position, just because he also has that glimpse going on, and eventually he's
Yeah.
gonna find a Cradle, but he's probably even gonna shoot the glimpse of next turn anyway, just to draw a bunch more cards. Got 1 mana. This guy out there. Okay, cool.
All right. Mind Sensor in for 2. That's a pretty slow clock.
Okay.
Okay. Not okay. So JJ puts the wrong card on the board. He's like, Ivan, just so you know, I have Questing Beast in my hand. And Ivan's like, cool. Thanks for sharing.
I mean, Ivan is under a real clock now. That knight is 4/4. You can either go down the route of like wastelanding once or twice and then having a big knight and getting in there, or you can try to establish your Maverick Large. The thing is, we've already seen that blown out by Boseiju, so maybe, I don't know, maybe JJ is really just gonna go and try to make a big knight.
All right. Ivan leads off with Visionary here. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he doesn't have a second glimpse in hand. No, he
Oh,
does.
he does.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to expend the mana for that here. We're just going to do this the
thing is,
direct
the
way.
glimpse is just gonna be so insanely better if you find a Cradle.
Yeah.
But you have to naturally find it. You can't Elvish Reclaimer for it.
Yeah, all right. Well, Ivan's got another natural order in hand, which is, again, going to only look at 4 cards, but he found Craterhoof the first time. Maybe it's worth another spin.
Chat is asking, by the way, Mind Sensor is not symmetrical, no. It like 12 years ago, it was used to totally break up the Maverick mirror. And yeah, that's just like one of those things that it did back then. And now it's coming back in the hands of JJ Garlock.
Yeah. Well, if there are questions about it, let's go ahead and pop up Aven Mind Sensor if we can on the screen. If there is some uncertainty on how the card works, there you go. The original artwork, I believe.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yes, indeed. Original artworks are beautiful pretty much in all cases, especially when we're talking about things about, basic lands and things like that. All right, there is the Questing Beast that JJ was previewing last turn. And here's an attack for
10,
10?
I believe.
10, an unblockable 10? Oh, that's a pretty decent amount.
There are no proper blocks that you can make here, I think.
Yeah.
What's this? Oh, Fatal Push. Sacrifice a flying creature.
No, run afoul. Yeah, run afoul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even gets around Mother of Runes. So sweet.
Yes, indeed. I really like run afoul for dealing with Merit Liege, and that is, in fact, probably why Ivan has it in the deck also. But even Mind Sensor works just as well.
Yeah, the thing is, he's basically turned around the game. Like, he's got this game on lockdown, unless he literally draws Craterhoof Behemoth. But I think it might be on the bottom of the deck because we've... Oh, no, wait, that was a fat... yeah, so...
Yeah, that was a shuffle since then.
Yeah, this is straight up tap and get there.
Yeah,
I think we're 26 or something. If we have enough lands in the graveyard, otherwise it's 24. Okay, we can do it. Okay, just add more creatures. There's nothing we really need to play around, right?
No, I mean, I'm not sure JJ even has a card. All right, I haven't passed the turn.
Didn't you say he's got a natural order in hand?
I thought so.
Maybe he doesn't. Because this was definitely like a win on the board.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm perhaps wrong about that. He did have 4 mana counting the Arbor, but maybe without being able to cast another.
No, he had like either 24 or 26 damage depending on how big the Reclaimer was, so it was going to be large enough either way. Oh, we will see. Maybe he's going to kill him next turn. Maybe he's going to be like, you know what? I just want to give you one more chance. Actually, no. Wait, Ivan is on 8.
Yeah, well, if there's 3 land in the graveyard, then Reclaimer can block.
I think it's going to be with, I guess, Bojuka Bog to shrink the knight or something.
Well, that would work too. So now Ivan doesn't have to block Questing Beast.
It's going to be 6 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but now Ivan really needs to have something because next turn he's dead on board.
All right, let's see. JJ, I believe, still empty-handed. Ivan draws Wooded Foothills.
There is natural order.
Yeah, there is natural order.
Yeah. Now it's even more damage.
Yeah. Well, now it's I don't know, infinite. -10 because you can't actually have infinite. So it's just very much. There is Craterhoof. There is a lot of incoming
50, I
damage.
believe, but yeah.
JJ
It's also
Garlock extends the hand, and Ivan Espinosa takes this one down, advances to 6-1. JJ had some of the right interactions there, but Mull to 5 makes it tough and comes up a little bit shy there. And Ivan Cyborg, that run afoul definitely mattered, as I think Ivan did actually go down to 2 that previous attack, and the
that makes
mindset's
such a big
getting
difference,
through.
right? It's so
Yeah.
funny because the run of fall was actually just brought in, I would guess, because of the potential that there's going to be a Marital Age,
Mhm.
but it ended up splash damaging the Avon Mind Sensor out of the air, which allowed Ivan to untap and then win the game 2 turns
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. And Mind Sensor did its best. I mean, it did limit the first natural order, but Ivan was able to find his choice of Visionary and Craterhoof anyway. Goes for the Visionary, rebuilds, puts some more cards, and then the eventual order for Behemoth was lethal. Okay, we've reached the end of round 6.